The baby's screams cut through the marble halls like a siren at 3 in the morning. Farah pressed her pillow over her ears, but the sound still pierced through. She had been working in this massive Seoul mansion for 2 weeks now, cleaning, cooking, and trying to stay invisible. But tonight something felt different. The crying wasn't just loud. It was desperate, broken, like the child was in pain. She threw off her thin blanket and stepped into the cold hallway. Her small room in the servants' quarters was far from the main house, but the baby's cries echoed everywhere. Farah wrapped her worn sweater around herself and followed the sound. Her heart ached with each scream. 6 months ago, she had held her own newborn son in a hospital in Casablanca. He had lived for only 3 hours before his tiny heart gave out. Her husband had died in a construction accident 2 months before that, leaving her alone and drowning in debt. Coming to Korea as a domestic worker was her only escape from poverty and grief. The nursery door stood open. Inside, a tall man paced back and forth, bouncing a red-faced infant who wouldn't stop wailing. Min-woo, the master of the house, looked nothing like the composed CEO she glimpsed in newspapers. His expensive shirt was wrinkled and stained with spit-up. His usually perfect black hair stuck up in every direction. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. He jiggled the baby, tried a bottle, checked the diaper, but nothing worked. "Please, Dae-hoon," he whispered, his voice cracking. "Please stop crying. I don't know what else to do." Farah's body reacted before her mind could stop her. Her breasts ached and tingled, responding to the infant's distress. Even though her own baby was gone, her milk had never dried up completely. The doctor said it was normal, that it would stop eventually, but her body stubbornly held onto the last physical connection to her lost child. She knocked softly on the doorframe. Min-woo spun around, his sharp eyes meeting hers. Up close, he was even more striking than she expected. High cheekbones, a strong jaw, and eyes that seemed to look right through people. But right now, those eyes held nothing but exhaustion and defeat. "I'm sorry to disturb you, sir," Farah said in careful Korean. She had studied the language for 6 months before coming here, but her accent still marked her as foreign. "I heard the baby crying. May I help? Unless you can make him stop, no." Min-woo's voice was harsh, but she heard the desperation underneath. "The nanny quit yesterday. My mother refuses to help. My ex-wife is gone. Every doctor says he's healthy, but he screams for hours every night. Nothing works." Farah stepped closer, her hands trembling. "Sir, I know this is unusual, but I have a solution. I recently had a baby. He passed away, but my body still makes milk. If you allow me, I can feed Dae-hoon. Sometimes babies need more than formula. They need warmth and comfort that only comes from nursing." Min-woo stared at her like she had spoken in another language. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked down at his screaming son, then back at her. "You want to breastfeed my child?" "Yes, sir. I understand if you think it's inappropriate. But I can hear in his cry that he's not sick. He's lonely and scared. Formula fills the stomach, but nursing fills the heart too." For a long moment Min-woo said nothing. The baby's screams grew even louder, his little face turning purple. Then Min-woo walked toward her and carefully placed Dae-hoon in her arms. "Do whatever you can. I can't watch him suffer anymore." Farah carried the baby to the rocking chair in the corner. She settled into it and adjusted her sweater, then guided the infant to her breast. Dae-hoon latched on immediately, his cries stopping like someone had flipped a switch. The sudden silence felt louder than all the screaming. His tiny hands clutched at her, and he made soft, satisfied sounds as he nursed. Tears streamed down Farah's face. This should have been her son. This moment should have belonged to her baby boy. But fate had other plans, and now she held a stranger's child who needed her just as desperately. She looked up and found Min-woo staring at her with an expression she couldn't name. It wasn't gratitude exactly. It was something deeper, more complicated. "How did you know?" he asked quietly, sitting on the floor beside the chair. "How did you know that would work?" Because I'm a mother, Farah answered. Even though my son is gone, that part of me didn't die. Babies sense these things. They know when someone truly cares. Minwoo rubbed his face with both hands. My ex-wife left when Daehoon was 3 months old. She ran off with my former business partner, someone I trusted completely. She signed away all parental rights without even looking back. My mother blames me for choosing the wrong woman, so she refuses to help with Daehoon. She says I made my bed and should lie in it. I've been handling everything alone for 6 months. The business, the baby, the divorce proceedings, everything. That's too much for one person, Farah said softly. Daehoon had fallen asleep in her arms, his little mouth still moving slightly as he dreamed of nursing. No one should carry all of that alone. I didn't have a choice. My father left years ago because he couldn't stand my mother's coldness. Have no siblings. My friends all took sides in the divorce, and most chose Seojin because she's more charming than I am. I built my entire life on being strong and independent. But this, he gestured to his sleeping son, this broke me. I don't know how to be soft. I don't know how to comfort a baby who needs more than money and a clean diaper. Farah shifted carefully, not wanting to wake Daehoon. Strength isn't about being hard all the time. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you need help. Minwoo looked at her properly for the first time since she had entered the nursery. Really looked at her, not just as a servant but as a person. What's your name? Farah. It means joy in Arabic. Does it bring you joy? Your name. She smiled sadly. It used to. Before I lost everything. I'm sorry about your son. And I'm sorry about your wife leaving. They sat in comfortable silence while Daehoon slept. The baby's breathing was deep and peaceful now, his little chest rising and falling steadily. Farah had almost forgotten what this felt like, holding a sleeping infant, feeling needed and useful. Her grief hadn't disappeared, but for the first time in months, it didn't consume every part of her. Would you be willing to do this again? Minwoo asked suddenly. Not just tonight but regularly. I'll pay you extra, triple your current salary. I'll give you better quarters, closer to the nursery. Whatever you need. I just can't watch him suffer like this anymore. Farah knew she should refuse. This arrangement crossed so many professional boundaries. The other servants would gossip. His family would disapprove. But when she looked down at Daehoon's peaceful face, she couldn't say no. This baby needed her. And if she was honest with herself, she needed him too. Yes, she whispered. I'll help you. Minwoo's shoulders sagged with relief. He reached out and gently touched Daehoon's tiny hand, and for a moment, his fingers brushed against Farah's arm. The contact sent an unexpected jolt through her body. She looked up and found him watching her with an intensity that made her breath catch. This man was dangerous, not because he was cruel, but because he was vulnerable in a way that called to something deep inside her. Thank you, he said, his voice rough with emotion. You have no idea what this means to me. But Farah thought maybe she did. She understood loneliness and loss and the desperate need for human connection. She understood what it felt like to have everything fall apart and wonder if you'd ever feel whole again. As she sat there in the dim nursery, holding a sleeping baby while his father watched with grateful eyes, Farah felt the first stirring of something she thought had died with her son. Over the next 2 weeks, a routine developed. Farah moved into a room adjacent to the nursery. Every evening at 8, she would feed Daehoon while Minwoo worked in his study. Every night at midnight and 3 in the morning, she would nurse him again. The baby thrived, gaining weight and smiling more. But something else was growing too. Something neither of them wanted to acknowledge. Minwoo started working from home more often. He would sit in the nursery during feeding times, supposedly catching up on emails, but Farah noticed he spent more time watching her than looking at his laptop. They talked during these sessions, sharing stories about their lives. She told him about growing up in Casablanca, about her dreams of becoming a teacher before poverty forced her into survival mode. He told her about the pressure of inheriting his father's company at 25, about building an empire while his personal life crumbled. The household staff noticed the change. Mrs. Kong, the head housekeeper, warned Farah to be careful. Master Minwoo is a good man, but he's still grieving his marriage. Don't mistake gratitude for anything more. Men like him don't fall for women like us. But Farah wasn't falling for anyone. She was just doing her job, helping a baby who needed her. That's what she told herself every time her heart raced when Minwoo smiled at her. That's what she repeated every time his hand accidentally brushed hers when he took Daehoon from her arms. That's what she whispered to herself late at night when she couldn't stop thinking about the loneliness in his eyes. One evening, Minwoo came home earlier than usual. Farah was singing a Moroccan lullaby to Daehoon, swaying gently as she nursed him. She didn't hear Minwoo enter the nursery. She didn't notice him standing in the doorway, watching her with an expression that mixed longing and pain and something that looked dangerously like desire. When she finally saw him, she stopped singing. "I didn't hear you come in." "Don't stop," he said quietly. "Your voice is beautiful. What's the song about?" "It's about a mother promising her child that no matter how dark the night gets, dawn always comes. My grandmother used to sing it to me." Minwoo walked closer, and Farah's pulse quickened. There was something different about him tonight, something intense and focused. He knelt beside the rocking chair, his face level with hers. "Farah, I need to tell you something." But before he could continue, the sound of high heels clicking on marble echoed from the hallway. A woman's voice called out, sharp and commanding. "Minwoo, where are you? We need to talk about our son." The blood drained from Minwoo's face. He stood up quickly, positioning himself between Farah and the door. "That's impossible. She can't be here." "Who?" Farah asked, but she already knew. There was only one person who could make Minwoo look that stricken. The nursery door swung open, and a stunning woman strode in. She wore a designer suit and carried herself with absolute confidence. Her makeup was perfect, her hair styled in elaborate waves. She looked like she had stepped out of a fashion magazine. But when her eyes landed on Farah holding Daehoon, her beautiful face twisted into something ugly. "Who is this?" the woman demanded, pointing at Farah. "And why is she holding my baby?" "Seojin," Minwoo said, his voice turning cold. "You gave up all rights to Daehoon. You have no legal claim to him and no business being here." "I made a mistake," Seojin said, her voice suddenly soft and pleading. "I was confused and scared. But I've realized that I belong here with my family. With you and our son." Farah stood up carefully, clutching Daehoon close. The baby had finished nursing and was drowsy, completely unaware of the tension crackling through the room. She didn't know what to do. This was between Minwoo and his ex-wife. She was just the help, nothing more. But when Seojin reached for the baby, Minwoo stepped in front of her. "Don't. You'll wake him." Seojin's eyes narrowed as she looked between Minwoo and Farah. "I see. How long has this been going on? Did you replace me with the hired help? Is that what this is?" "Get out of my house," Minwoo said, his voice deadly quiet. "You have no right to come here and make accusations. You destroyed our marriage. You abandoned our son. You don't get to waltz back in and pretend nothing happened." "We'll see about that," Seojin said, her voice turning sharp again. "I spoke with your mother today. She agrees that Daehoon needs his real mother, not some foreign stranger. I'm moving back in tomorrow, and there's nothing you can do about it." She turned and walked out, her heels clicking ominously on the floor. The silence she left behind felt suffocating. Farah carefully placed Daehoon in his crib, her hands shaking. She could feel Minwoo's eyes on her, but she couldn't look at him. Everything had just gotten incredibly complicated. "Farah," he started, but she shook her head. "I should go to my room. Daehoon is asleep. You don't need me right now." She tried to walk past him, but he caught her wrist gently. The touch sent electricity up her arm. "I do need you. More than you know. Please don't let her scare you away." Farah finally looked at him and saw something in his eyes that terrified her. It wasn't just gratitude anymore. It was want, raw and honest and completely inappropriate. And the worst part was that she felt it too, this pull toward him that grew stronger every day. "This is wrong," she whispered. "I work for you. Your ex-wife just came back. Your mother supports her. I'm nobody in this situation." "You're not nobody to me," Minwoo said fiercely. "You saved my son. You brought peace to this house. You made me remember what it feels like to not be alone." Before she could respond, before she could think about all the reasons this was a terrible idea, he pulled her closer. Their faces were inches apart. She could feel his breath on her lips. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. This was the moment everything would change, for better or worse. And as Minwoo's lips moved toward hers, Farah knew there was no going back from whatever came next. Farah pulled away at the last second, her chest heaving. "We can't. This is impossible." Minwoo's hand was still on her wrist, his grip gentle but firm. "Why?" "Because you work for me. Because of what people will think. I stopped caring about those things the day my wife left me for my best friend. I stopped caring about rules and expectations when everyone I trusted betrayed me. Your ex-wife just threatened to move back in. Your mother supports her. I'm a poor immigrant who cleans your floors. Do you understand how this looks? Do you understand what will happen to me if this goes wrong?" Farah's voice cracked. She wanted to lean into him, to let herself feel something other than grief and loneliness. But reality was a cold, hard thing that couldn't be ignored. Minwoo released her wrist and stepped back, running his hands through his hair. "You're right. Sorry. I'm not thinking clearly. Everything is falling apart again, and you're the only stable thing in my life. But that's not fair to you." Farah wrapped her arms around herself. "I should resign. This has gotten too complicated." "No." The word came out sharp and desperate. "Please don't leave. Dahoon needs you. I'll keep my distance. I'll be professional. Just don't take my son's peace away because I can't control myself." Before Farah could answer, they heard voices downstairs. Minwoo's mother had arrived, and she wasn't alone. Seojin's laugh echoed through the halls, already making herself at home. Minwoo's jaw clenched so hard Farah could see the muscles jumping. "I'll handle this," he said. "Stay with Daehoon." He left the nursery, and Farah sank into the rocking chair. Her whole body trembled. What was she doing? She had come to Korea to escape her old life, not to fall into an impossible situation with her employer. But the truth was undeniable. She had feelings for Minwoo. Feelings that grew every time he looked at his son with such tender concern, every time he asked about her day like her thoughts actually mattered. Downstairs she could hear raised voices. Mrs. Park's cold tone cut through the air. "You've embarrassed this family enough, Minwoo. Sojin made mistakes, but she's willing to fix them. She's Daehoon's mother. She belongs here." "She abandoned him," Minwoo shot back. "She signed legal documents giving up all parental rights. She doesn't get to change her mind because her affair didn't work out." "Watch your tone with me," Mrs. Park snapped. "I'm still your mother. And I'm telling you that having some foreign maid nurse your son is unacceptable. What will people say? What will your business partners think? I don't care what anyone thinks." Daehoon was sick and screaming every night until Farah helped him. "She's the reason my son is healthy and happy." Seojin's voice joined in, sweet as poison. "I'm sure she's been very helpful. Perhaps too helpful. Minwoo, darling, people are already talking. They see her living here so close to your bedroom. They're wondering if you've moved on with the help." The sound of something slamming, maybe a fist on a table, echoed up the stairs. "Get out. Both of you. This is my house, and I decide who stays and who goes." "You're making a terrible mistake," Mrs. Park said coldly. "But you always were stubborn, just like your father. Look where that got him. Alone and miserable." More footsteps, then the front door closing. Silence fell over the house. Farah held her breath, waiting. Minutes passed before Min-woo returned to the nursery. He looked exhausted, his shoulders slumped in defeat. "They're gone for now," he said. "But they'll be back. My mother has keys to this house. Seo-jin will use every trick she knows to manipulate the situation." "Then I really should leave," Farah said softly. "I'm causing problems for you." Min-woo crossed the room in 3 long strides. This time when he reached for her, he didn't hesitate. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her deeply, desperately. Farah gasped against his mouth, and he took advantage, deepening the kiss. Her hands clutched at his shirt, pulling him closer even as her mind screamed that this was wrong. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Min-woo pressed his forehead against hers. "I can't let you go. I know it's selfish. I know I'm risking your reputation and your job. But I haven't felt alive in years until you walked into my life. Tell me you feel it too. Tell me I'm not imagining this connection." "You're not imagining it," Farah admitted. "But feelings aren't enough. What happens when your ex-wife takes you to court? What happens when your mother poisons everyone against me? I have no power here, Min-woo. I'm nobody. Stop saying that." He kissed her again, softer this time. "You're everything." Over the following days, they tried to maintain distance, but it was impossible. Every feeding time became charged with tension. Every accidental touch sparked electricity between them. The other servants noticed and whispered behind their hands. Mrs. Kong took Farah aside one morning with a worried expression. "Whatever is happening between you and Master Min-woo needs to stop. Mrs. Park came by yesterday asking questions about you. She wants to find reasons to fire you. She even hired investigators to look into your background." Fear shot through Farah's chest. "Investigators? Why?" "Because she knows her son has feelings for you, and she'll do anything to protect the family image. Be careful, Farah. These people have money and power. They can destroy you without breaking a sweat." That evening, Farah tried to talk to Min-woo about backing off, about being more careful. But he was dealing with his own crisis. His business partner, the man who had stolen Seo-jin, was making moves to buy up shares in Min-woo's company. The board was getting nervous about the CEO's personal drama affecting business. Everything was falling apart simultaneously. "I'm losing control of my own company," Min-woo said, pacing his study while Farah sat with a sleeping Dae-hoon. "Young-wook is using his relationship with Seo-jin to gain sympathy from the board. He's painting me as unstable, as someone who makes poor decisions. And my mother is feeding them information about you, about our arrangement." "Then let me go," Farah pleaded. "Let me leave before this gets worse." Min-woo stopped pacing and looked at her. "What if I don't want to let you go? What if I want to fight for this, for us? There is no us. There can't be." "Why not?" "'Cause society says so. Because my mother disapproves. I've spent my whole life following rules and being the perfect son, the perfect husband, the perfect businessman. Where did that get me? Divorced, betrayed, and miserable." He crossed to where she sat and knelt down beside her. "You make me happy, Farah. You and Dae-hoon. When I come home, I actually want to be here. When I wake up, I look forward to the day. I haven't felt that way in years." Farah's eyes filled with tears. "I make you happy now, but what about later? What about when the novelty wears off and you realize I'm just a poor immigrant with nothing to offer? What about when you want someone who fits into your world? You already fit into my world. You fit better than anyone ever has." The next 2 weeks were a careful dance of stolen moments. They would brush hands when passing Dae-hoon between them. They would sit closer than necessary during feeding times. They would find excuses to be in the same room, just to be near each other. The tension built until it was almost unbearable. Then came the night that changed everything. A major storm hit Seoul, knocking out power across the city. The mansion had backup generators, but they only powered essential systems. Most of the house was dark. The servants had been given the night off because of the weather. Mrs. Kong had gone to stay with her sister. It was just Min-woo, Farah, and the baby. Dae-hoon wouldn't settle. The thunder scared him, making him cry inconsolably. Farah tried nursing him, walking with him, singing to him, but nothing worked. Finally, Min-woo suggested they all sleep in his room, which had the most stable power and the thickest walls to muffle the storm. They set up Dae-hoon's portable crib near the bed. Farah sat in a chair, rocking the baby while Min-woo worked on his laptop, trying to salvage business deals that were falling apart. Around midnight, Dae-hoon finally fell asleep, exhausted from crying. Farah carefully placed him in the crib and turned to leave. "Stay," Min-woo said quietly. "Please, just sit with me for a while. I don't want to be alone tonight." Farah knew she should refuse. Being alone with him in his bedroom was dangerous. But the honest vulnerability in his voice broke down her defenses. She sat on the edge of his bed, keeping a careful distance. They talked quietly about everything and nothing. He told her about his childhood, about growing up with parents who showed more affection to their business associates than to their own son. She told him about the husband she had loved, about the baby she had lost, about the grief that still woke her up some nights. "Do you still love him?" Min-woo asked. "Your husband. I'll always love him," Farah answered honestly. "But he's gone. I can't spend the rest of my life mourning what I lost. At some point, I have to let myself live again." "Is that what this is? Letting yourself live?" She looked at him, really looked at him. In the dim light, he seemed younger, less burdened. "I don't know what this is. All I know is that when I'm with you, I feel less broken." Min-woo reached out and took her hand. "I feel the same way." They sat like that for a long time, just holding hands, listening to Dae-hoon breathe and the storm rage outside. Then Min-woo tugged gently, pulling her closer. She went willingly this time. No more protests or logical arguments. When he kissed her, she kissed him back with all the loneliness and longing she had been holding inside. "Tell me to stop," he whispered against her lips. "Tell me this is wrong and I'll stop." But Farah couldn't say those words. Instead, she pulled him closer, her hands sliding under his shirt to feel the warm skin beneath. He groaned and deepened the kiss, laying her back on the bed. His hands were everywhere, gentle but urgent, like he couldn't quite believe she was real. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice rough. "Once we cross this line, there's no going back." "I'm sure," Farah breathed. "I don't want to go back." They made love slowly, carefully, both of them terrified and exhilarated. Afterward, they lay tangled together, not speaking, just breathing in sync. The storm had passed, leaving everything quiet and clean. Farah knew this moment couldn't last, that reality would come crashing back in the morning. But for now, she let herself feel safe in his arms. Dawn came too quickly. They woke to Dae-hoon's soft cries and the sound of a car pulling up outside. Min-woo tensed immediately. "That's my mother's car. She has terrible timing." They dressed quickly, trying to look presentable. Farah picked up Dae-hoon and headed for the nursery, hoping to avoid Mrs. Park entirely. But as she stepped into the hallway, she found herself face to face with both Mrs. Park and Seojin. They had clearly come together, united in their mission. Mrs. Park's eyes narrowed as she took in Farah's disheveled appearance, her hair still messy from sleep. "How interesting. The maid sleeping in the family wing. Min-woo, we need to talk. Now." Sun smirked, her eyes gleaming with malicious satisfaction. "I told you, Mother Park. I told you something inappropriate was happening here." Min-woo appeared behind Farah, also looking rumpled. There was no hiding what had happened between them. Mrs. Park's face turned red with fury. "Have you lost your mind completely? Sleeping with the help? Do you have any idea what this will do to your reputation? To the company?" "I don't care," Min-woo said firmly. "This is my life, my home, my choice." "Then you're an even bigger fool than I thought," Mrs. Park hissed. "This woman is using you. She's a gold digger who saw an opportunity and took it. She came here with nothing, and now she's wormed her way into your bed and your life. That's not true, Farah said, her voice shaking. I never wanted this. I was just trying to help Dae-hoon. How noble, Seo-jin said sarcastically. The poor immigrant with a convenient sob story about a dead baby. Did you plan this from the beginning? Did you see a rich, lonely man and decide to trap him? Get out, Min-woo said coldly. Both of you. Get out of my house right now. But Mrs. Park wasn't finished. I've had you investigated, Farah. I know everything. I know your husband died leaving you in debt. I know you entered Korea on a work visa that's barely legal. I know you're desperate and broke. One phone call and I can have you deported. One conversation with the right people, and you'll never work in this country again. Fear flooded through Farah's body. Everything Mrs. Park said was true. She was vulnerable in ways she couldn't defend against. She looked at Min-woo, saw the anger and helplessness on his face, and knew what she had to do. I'll leave, she said quietly. I'll pack my things and go. You don't need to threaten me. Farah, no. Min-woo grabbed her arm. You're not going anywhere. I have to. She's right. Have no power here. I can't fight people like this. Tears streamed down her face as she looked at him one last time. I'm sorry. I should never have let this happen. She pulled away from him and hurried to her room with Dae-hoon. Behind her, she heard Min-woo arguing with his mother, his voice rising in anger. But what could he do? His company was already unstable. His reputation was damaged. If he tried to defend her, he would lose everything he had built. Farah packed quickly, her hands shaking. She fed Dae-hoon one last time, tears falling onto his innocent face. I'm sorry, little one. Have to go. But your father loves you so much. He'll take care of you. Mrs. Kong appeared in the doorway, her face sad. I'm sorry it ended this way. You're a good person, Farah. You didn't deserve this. Thank you for being kind to me, Farah said. She finished packing and headed for the front door. Min-woo was still arguing with his mother in the study, his voice hoarse from shouting. Sun stood in the hallway, blocking Farah's path with a triumphant smile. Leaving so soon? That's probably best. Min-woo and I have a lot to discuss. Dae-hoon needs his real mother back, not some substitute. Farah didn't respond. She just walked past, her single suitcase heavy in her hand. Outside, rain had started again, cold and relentless. She had nowhere to go, no friends in Seoul, barely enough money for a week in a cheap hostel. But she couldn't stay here, couldn't watch Min-woo sacrifice himself for something that could never work. She made it halfway down the long driveway before she heard footsteps running behind her. Min-woo caught up, grabbed her arm and spun her around. Where do you think you're going? Anywhere but here. Me go, Min-woo. This is for the best. The best for who? For my mother. For Seo-jin. Certainly not for me or Dae-hoon. For you, Farah insisted. You'll lose your company. Your reputation will be destroyed. All because of me. I don't care about any of that. He pulled her close, rain soaking them both. I care about you. I care about the family we've become. We're not a family. We're an impossible dream. Then let's make the impossible possible. He kissed her hard, desperately, like a drowning man gasping for air. Don't leave me. Please. I'll fix this. I'll find a way to make it work. But even as he said the words, a car pulled up behind them. Seo-jin had called someone and 2 security guards got out. Mrs. Park appeared on the mansion steps, her face cold and determined. Take her to the nearest immigration office, Mrs. Park commanded. I've already made the calls. Her visa has irregularities. She'll be on a plane back to Morocco by tomorrow. Min-woo's arms tightened around Farah. You can't do this. I won't let you. You have no choice, Mrs. Park said. Unless you want to lose custody of Dae-hoon in the scandal that will follow if you keep defending her. Is that what you want? To lose your son over a woman you barely know? The words hit like physical blows. Farah felt Min-woo's grip loosen slightly. She looked up at him and saw the terrible choice playing out on his face. His son or her. His family or this fragile new thing between them. There was no real choice at all. "Let me go," she whispered. "Save yourself and Dae-hoon. That's what matters." She pulled away from him and walked toward the security guards. They escorted her to the car, professional but not unkind. As they drove away, Farah looked back one last time. Min-woo stood in the rain, looking absolutely broken. And somewhere in that mansion, Dae-hoon was probably starting to cry, wondering where the woman who had become his mother had gone. The immigration office was cold and impersonal. Farah sat on a hard plastic chair, her wet clothes making her shiver. An officer reviewed her documents with a critical eye. Asking questions, she answered numbly. Yes, her work visa had been issued quickly. Yes, she had accepted employment immediately upon arrival. No, she didn't have family in Korea. No, she couldn't prove sufficient funds to support herself independently. "Your visa is being revoked," the officer finally said. "You have 72 hours to leave the country. If you don't depart voluntarily, you'll be deported and banned from returning for 5 years. 72 hours. 3 days to figure out where she would go, how she would survive. Morocco held nothing but painful memories and crushing poverty. But Korea was now closed to her, all because she had fallen for the wrong man at the wrong time. They released her that evening with a stern warning. Farah found a cheap hostel in a run-down part of Seoul. The room was tiny, barely bigger than a closet, with a thin mattress on the floor and a shared bathroom down the hall. She lay awake all night, thinking about Min-woo and Dae-hoon, wondering if the baby was crying, if Min-woo was managing alone. The next morning her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Farah. It's Mrs. Kong. I heard what happened. I'm so sorry." The kindness in the older woman's voice made Farah's eyes sting with tears. "How is Dae-hoon?" "Not good. He won't eat. He's been crying since you left. Master Min-woo tried everything, but the baby wants you." Miss Seojin attempted to feed him, but Dae-hoon wouldn't take anything from her. "The doctor came this morning. He says if Dae-hoon doesn't start eating soon, they'll have to take him to the hospital." Horror washed over Farah. "He needs to eat. Can't they give him formula? He refuses it. He's making himself sick, Farah. I think he's heartbroken. Babies know when someone they love disappears." Farah pressed her hand to her mouth, stifling a sob. This was her fault. She had bonded with Dae-hoon, let him depend on her, and then abandoned him. "What about Min-woo? How is he?" Mrs. Kang's voice dropped lower. "Terrible. He's barely sleeping. He tried to fight his mother's actions, but she has powerful connections. And things got worse yesterday. The company board called an emergency meeting. They're demanding he step down as CEO because of the scandal. Someone leaked information about your relationship to the business press. Now investors are nervous, and the stock price is dropping. This is a nightmare. It gets worse. Young-wook, Master Min-woo's former partner, is using this chaos to buy up shares. He's trying to force a takeover. If he succeeds, Master Min-woo will lose everything his father built." Farah felt sick. She had ruined everything. By staying in that house, by falling for Min-woo, by thinking she could somehow be part of his world, she had destroyed his life. "Mrs. Kong, please tell Min-woo I'm sorry. Tell him to forget about me and focus on saving his company and taking care of Dae-hoon. He doesn't want to forget you. He's been calling you non-stop, but you haven't answered." Farah looked at her phone and saw dozens of missed calls from Min-woo's number. She had turned it to silent because she couldn't bear to hear his voice. "I can't talk to him. It'll only make things harder. Farah, that baby needs you. Whatever happened between you and Master Min-woo, Dae-hoon is innocent. He's suffering." The words cut deep because they were true. Farah had become Dae-hoon's mother in every way that mattered except biology. Walking away had hurt him, possibly as much as it hurt her. But what choice did she have? She was being deported in 3 days. She had no legal right to stay, No way to fight Mrs. Park's connections and money. After hanging up with Mrs. Kong, Farah spent the day walking through Seoul in a daze. The city was beautiful, all gleaming skyscrapers and ancient temples existing side by side. She had dreamed of exploring it properly, learning the culture, maybe even finding a new life here. But those dreams were ashes now. That evening, someone knocked on her hostel room door. Her heart leaped. Had Min-woo found her? But when she opened it, she found Sojin standing there, perfectly dressed as always, her smile sharp as a knife. "May I come in?" Sojin asked, not waiting for an answer before pushing past Farah into the tiny room. She looked around with obvious disgust. "So this is where you ended up. How the mighty have fallen. What do you want?" Farah asked wearily. "To help you understand reality. Min-woo is a fool when it comes to women. He always has been. He married me thinking love was enough, but life isn't a fairy tale. Marriage requires compatibility, shared backgrounds, similar social standing. You have none of that." "I know. That's why I left." "Did you? Or did Mother Park force you out?" Sojin sat on the edge of the thin mattress, crossing her legs elegantly. "I'll be honest with you. I don't want Min-woo back because I love him. I want him back because Jungwook was a mistake. The affair was exciting at first, but Jungwook is weak and petty. Min-woo, for all his coldness, is strong and successful. I made a bad trade, and I'm trying to fix it." "That's honest at least," Farah said bitterly. "I'm telling you this because I want you to understand something. Min-woo might think he cares about you, but it's just gratitude and loneliness. Once things calm down, once Daehoon adjusts to a new routine, Min-woo will realize that you were just a temporary comfort. He'll move on to someone more appropriate. If that's true, why are you here? Why do you care if I leave or stay?" Sojin's smile faltered slightly. "Because Min-woo is being stubborn. He's refusing to reconcile with me, and it's causing problems. If you would just disappear completely, make it clear you're not coming back, he'll eventually accept reality. I'm being deported in 3 days. I can't be any more gone than that." "Good. Then we understand each other." Sojin stood up, smoothing her skirt. "Oh, and one more thing. Those investigators Mother Park hired. They found something interesting. Your husband didn't die in a construction accident. He committed suicide because of gambling debts. You lied on your visa application." The blood drained from Farah's face. It was true. Her husband had taken his own life, unable to face the shame and debt. She had lied on the visa application because suicide made approval nearly impossible. "How do you know that?" "Money can uncover any secret. If Min-woo finds out you lied to get into Korea, that you deceived him about your past, it'll kill whatever feelings he has for you. So do yourself a favor. Leave quietly. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." After Sojin left, Farah sat in the dark, her whole body numb. Every lie, every secret, every desperate choice she had made to survive was being weaponized against her. She thought about calling Min-woo, explaining everything, but what good would it do? The truth would only give him more reasons to let her go. The next morning, Farah received a notification that her deportation flight was booked for the following day. She had 1 day left in Seoul. She spent it visiting a temple, praying for Daehoon's health and Min-woo's happiness. She prayed for strength to survive whatever came next. As she left the temple, her phone rang again. This time it was Min-woo. Her finger hovered over the answer button. She wanted so badly to hear his voice, but she knew it would break her completely. She let it go to voicemail. Minutes later a text came through. "Please talk to me. Please don't disappear without saying goodbye. Daehoon needs you. I need you." Tears streamed down her face as she typed a response. "I'm sorry. Can't. Please take care of yourself and Daehoon. Forget about me." She turned off her phone after that, unable to bear any more messages. She returned to the hostel and packed her single suitcase. Tomorrow she would board a plane to Casablanca and figure out how to rebuild her life from scratch again. But late that night, someone pounded on her door so hard it shook in its frame. Farah, I know you're in there. Open this door. Minwoo. Her heart stopped. How had he found her? She opened the door and found him standing there, looking wild. His clothes were rumpled, his hair a mess, and his eyes were red-rimmed. You blocked my calls, he said, his voice rough. You shut me out completely. I had to. You need to move on. Move on. Daehoon is in the hospital, Farah. He stopped eating completely. He's on N4 because he won't take any food. The doctors say he's suffering from severe attachment distress. He needs you. The words hit like a physical blow. The hospital. Is he okay? No, he's not okay. He's heartbroken. And so am I. Minwoo stepped into the tiny room, closing the door behind him. I've spent the last 2 days fighting everyone. My mother, my board of directors, my ex-wife, everyone. I've been trying to find a way to fix this, to make it possible for you to stay. But you won't even talk to me. There's nothing to fix. Your mother had my visa revoked. I'm being deported tomorrow. It's over. It doesn't have to be. He grabbed her shoulders, making her look at him. Marry me. Farah stared at him, certain she had misheard. What? Marry me. If you're my wife, they can't deport you. You'll have legal protection. We can fight this together. Are you insane? You can't marry me just to solve a visa problem. That's not how marriage works. I'm not proposing because of your visa. I'm proposing because I love you. The words hung in the air between them, raw and honest. I know it's fast. I know we barely know each other. But I haven't felt this way about anyone, not even Seo-jin when I married her. You make me want to be better. You make me care about things beyond business and reputation. You gave my son unconditional love when everyone else abandoned him. How can I not love you for that? You don't love me. You love what I represent. Fresh start. A chance to feel something after your divorce. But that's not real love, Minwoo. Then what is real love? Tell me. Because what I feel for you is the most real thing in my life right now. Farah wanted to say yes. Every part of her wanted to fall into his arms and believe they could make this work. But reality was cruel, and fairy tales didn't come true for people like her. Even if I said yes, even if we got married, your life would be destroyed. You'd lose your company. Your family would disown you. Everyone would say you married the help out of desperation or stupidity. Let them say it. I'm tired of living for other people's approval. I'm tired of making decisions based on what society expects instead of what I want. He cupped her face in his hands. I want you, Farah. I want to build a life with you and Daehoon. I want to wake up every morning knowing you're beside me. I want to fight the world together instead of facing it alone. This is crazy. Maybe. But I've been sane and responsible my whole life. And where did it get me? Miserable and alone. Maybe it's time to be crazy. Before she could argue further, his phone rang. He answered it, his face growing pale. When? Is he okay? Oz. I'm coming right now. He looked at Farah, his eyes desperate. That was the hospital. Daehoon's condition worsened. They need to run more tests. Farah, please. Come with me. Even if you won't marry me, even if you're leaving tomorrow, please come see him one more time. He needs to know you didn't abandon him. How could she refuse? Whatever doubts she had about Minwoo, whatever fears about the future, Daehoon was innocent. He hadn't asked for any of this. She grabbed her coat. Let's go. They rushed to the hospital through empty Seoul streets. In the pediatric ward, a nurse led them to Daehoon's room. The sight broke Farah's heart. The tiny baby lay in a hospital crib, and 4 in his small arm, monitors beeping around him. He looked so fragile, so lost. When he saw Farah, he started crying, reaching for her with weak little hands. Farah rushed to him, picking him up carefully and mindful of the 4. I'm here, baby. I'm here. She held him close, and he immediately calmed, his face pressing against her chest, searching for comfort. The doctor came in, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes. Are you the mother? No, I'm just someone who helped care for him. Well, whatever you are to this child, he needs you. His vital signs stabilize when you hold him. I've seen attachment issues before, but nothing this severe. This baby has bonded with you completely. Minwoo stood beside them watching. Doctor, is it safe for her to nurse him? She still produces milk. The doctor nodded. If she's willing and healthy, it would probably help significantly. Nursing provides comfort beyond nutrition. Farah didn't need to be asked twice. She settled into the chair beside the crib and began nursing Dae-hoon. The baby latched on desperately, making small sounds of relief. As he fed, his heart rate on the monitor slowed to normal. Color returned to his pale cheeks. He was healing just from being near her. Minwoo knelt beside the chair, his hand on Dae-hoon's back. Look at him. Look at how much he needs you. How can you leave him? I don't have a choice. You do. Marry me. Stay with us. Be his mother officially. The doctor cleared her throat. I'll give you some privacy. She left, closing the door softly. In the quiet hospital room, with Dae-hoon nursing peacefully and Minwoo looking at her with such hope and desperation, Farah felt her resolve crumbling. Maybe this was crazy. Maybe they would face impossible challenges. But walking away felt like dying. She had already lost one child. Could she really lose another? If I say yes, she whispered. If I agree to this, you have to understand something. Come with nothing. No money, no family, no connections. I lied on my visa application about my husband's death. I'm not the noble, tragic figure you think I am. I'm just a desperate woman who made bad choices to survive. I don't care about any of that. I care about you. Your mother will never accept me. Seojin will make our lives miserable. You'll lose business deals and social standing. Then I'll lose them. Some things matter more than money and status. Farah looked down at Dae-hoon, who had fallen asleep in her arms, finally peaceful. She thought about getting on that plane tomorrow, flying back to nothing, living with the grief of leaving another child behind. She thought about the alternative, fighting for a chance at happiness even if the odds were against them. Okay, she finally said. Okay, I'll marry you. Minwoo's face transformed with relief and joy. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. You won't regret this. I promise I'll spend every day proving you made the right choice. I hope so. Because we just made everything incredibly complicated. They spent the night in the hospital with Dae-hoon. The next morning, Minwoo made phone calls, pulling strings and calling in favors. He got the deportation order temporarily stayed. He hired lawyers to challenge Mrs. Park's interference. And he arranged for them to marry at the courthouse that very afternoon. But as they prepared to leave the hospital, Farah's phone rang. It was an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Jungwook's voice came through, smooth and threatening. Farah, we haven't met, but I'm the man who's about to own Minwoo's company. I heard about your little engagement. Congratulations. But I thought you should know something before you make this marriage official. I have evidence of your visa fraud. I have documents showing your husband's suicide and your lies. If you marry Minwoo, I'll make sure that information goes public. His reputation will be destroyed. His company will collapse. All because he married a lying immigrant. So you have a choice. Walk away now, spare him that fate, or marry him and watch his life burn. The line went dead. Farah stood frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear. Minwoo was across the room, talking to the doctor about Dae-hoon's discharge. He looked so hopeful, so certain they could make this work. And she was about to destroy everything again. 'Cause Jungwook was right. If that information went public, it wouldn't just hurt her. It would obliterate Minwoo completely. Farah slipped out of the hospital while Minwoo was signing Dae-hoon's discharge papers. She couldn't face him, couldn't tell him about Jungwook's threat. If Minwoo knew, he would insist on marrying her anyway. Consequences be damned. But Farah couldn't let him sacrifice everything for her. She had already caused enough damage. She made it 2 blocks before Minwoo caught up with her. Dae-hoon strapped to his chest in a carrier. "Where are you going?" "We have a courthouse appointment in 2 hours. I can't marry you." "I'm sorry." Minwoo grabbed her arm, his eyes searching her face. "What happened?" "Something changed in the last 10 minutes. "What is it?" "Jungwook called me. He has evidence of my visa fraud. If we get married, he'll release it to the press. Your company will be destroyed, Minwoo. The board will force you out. Investors will abandon you. Everything you've built will collapse. All because you married someone like me. I don't care." "You should care. Dae-hoon deserves a father who can provide for him, who hasn't lost everything because of a woman he barely knows." Minwoo's jaw clenched. "First, I do know you. I know you're brave and kind and selfless. I know you put everyone else before yourself, even when it hurts you. Second, Jungwook is bluffing. He's desperate because his takeover attempt is failing. My company is stronger than he thinks. What if he's not bluffing? What if everything he threatens comes true? Then we'll deal with it together. But I'm not letting you walk away because of threats and fear." He pulled out his phone. "I'm calling Jungwook right now. I'm calling his bluff." Before Farah could stop him, he had Jungwook on the line. "This is Minwoo. I heard about your threat to Farah. Here's my response. I'm holding a press conference in 1 hour. I'm going to tell everyone everything. About my divorce, about Seojin's affair with you, about how Farah saved my son's life, about how I fell in love with her. I'm going to share my truth before you can twist it into a weapon. And then I'm going to marry her anyway." Jungwook's voice came through the speaker, angry and confused. "You're insane. This will ruin you." "Maybe. Or maybe people will surprise us. Maybe they'll see a human story instead of a scandal. Either way, I'm done letting you and everyone else control my life through fear." He hung up and looked at Farah. "Now, are you coming to this press conference with me? Or am I doing this alone?" Farah stared at him, her heart racing. This was the moment that would define everything. She could run, protect herself, go back to Morocco and live with the regret. Or she could stay and fight beside him, even knowing they might lose everything. "I'm coming with you," she said. "But if this goes wrong, if you lose everything, don't say I didn't warn you. If we lose everything except each other and Dae-hoon, we'll still have more than I had a month ago." An hour later, they stood in front of a packed room of reporters. Every major news outlet in Seoul had sent someone. Minwoo's story was already big news because of the company takeover drama. Adding a romance scandal made it irresistible. Minwoo stepped up to the microphone, Dae-hoon still strapped to his chest. Farah stood slightly behind him, her hands shaking. She had never been in front of cameras before, never imagined being the center of this kind of attention. "Thank you for coming," Minwoo began. "I called this press conference because I'm tired of letting other people tell my story. So I'm going to tell it myself." He laid out everything. His marriage to Seojin and her affair with Jungwook. Dae-hoon's health crisis and Farah's intervention. The way she had saved his son's life through compassion and selflessness. His growing feelings for her and his decision to marry her despite the scandal it would cause. "I know what people will say," Minwoo continued. "They'll say I'm having a crisis, that I'm making poor decisions because of my divorce. They'll question Farah's motives and claim she's using me. But I know the truth. Farah asked for nothing. She tried to leave multiple times to protect me. She's being deported tomorrow because my mother abused her connections. If anyone is being exploited in this situation, it's her." He paused, looking directly into the cameras. "I'm in love with Farah. I'm going to marry her today. And I'm stepping down as CEO of my company." Gasps rippled through the crowd. That was the real news. Minwoo's company was his life's work. Stepping down was unthinkable. "I'm stepping down temporarily," Minwoo clarified, "because I've realized something important. I've spent my whole life building a business empire while neglecting everything else. My marriage failed because I prioritized work over my wife. I almost lost my son because I didn't know how to put family first. I'm not making that mistake again. I'm taking 6 months to focus on my family, to be the father Dae-hoon deserves and the husband Farah deserves. The board can appoint an interim CEO. If they decide not to reinstate me after 6 months, so be it. A reporter shouted out. What about the allegations of visa fraud? Min-woo didn't flinch. Farah made mistakes on her visa application because she was desperate and scared. Her husband died, leaving her alone and in debt. She came to Korea seeking a better life. Yes, she should have been more honest on her application. But hasn't everyone in this room made mistakes when they were desperate? I'm hiring lawyers to work with immigration officials to resolve this properly. If there are fines or penalties, I'll pay them. But I'm asking for understanding and compassion instead of judgment. Another reporter called out, Mr. Min, do you really think this relationship can work given the class differences? Before Min-woo could answer, Farah stepped forward. Her voice shook, but she spoke clearly. I know what people think of me. I'm poor. I'm foreign. I'm uneducated compared to Min-woo's world. But I love him and I love his son. I didn't plan this. I didn't scheme or manipulate. I just offered help when a baby was suffering, and everything else happened naturally. People want to hate me for that, I can't stop them. But I won't apologize for falling in love. The room erupted with questions, cameras flashing everywhere. Min-woo took Farah's hand and led her out through a side door. Behind them, the press conference dissolved into chaos. But they had done it. They had told their truth. At the courthouse, they married quickly in a small ceremony. The judge was an older man who had read about the press conference on his phone. He looked at them seriously before beginning. Marriage is difficult enough without public scandal. Are you sure about this? Absolutely, Min-woo said. Yes, Farah agreed. They exchanged simple vows and rings that Min-woo had bought that morning. When the judge pronounced them married, Min-woo kissed her deeply, and Farah felt something shift inside her. This was real. She was married again to a man she had known for less than 2 months, in a country that wanted to deport her. It was insane and terrifying and somehow exactly right. They spent their wedding night in Min-woo's mansion, finally alone. Dae-hoon slept peacefully in his crib, healthy again now that Farah was back. They stood in Min-woo's bedroom, suddenly awkward despite having been intimate before. I know this isn't the wedding night you probably imagined, Min-woo said. No fancy honeymoon, no romantic celebration. Just us and a lot of chaos. I never imagined any of this, Farah admitted. But I don't regret it. He crossed to her, taking her face in his hands. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me. They made love slowly, tenderly, with none of the desperate urgency of before. This time it was about commitment and promise. Afterward, they lay tangled together, talking quietly about the future. What if the company doesn't take you back? Farah asked. Then I'll start something new. I have skills and experience. We'll be fine. What if your mother never accepts me? Then that's her loss. But I think she will, eventually. She's cold, but she's not cruel. Once she sees that you make me happy, that you're good for Dae-hoon, she'll come around. You're very optimistic. I have to be. Otherwise, what's the point? The next morning, they woke to find that the press conference had gone viral. News outlets around the world had picked up the story. Public opinion was split. Some people praised Min-woo's honesty and Farah's dedication to Dae-hoon. Others criticized them harshly, calling it a publicity stunt or questioning Farah's motives. But something unexpected happened. Regular people started sharing their own stories of cross-cultural relationships, of finding love in unexpected places, of choosing family over career. The story resonated because it was real and messy and human. Min-woo's father reached out for the first time in years. He called and asked to meet them. When they arrived at his modest apartment, he looked older than his photos, worn down by years of being estranged from his son. I saw your press conference, he said. It took courage to do what you did. More courage than I ever had. Why did you leave? Minwoo asked, the question he had carried for years finally spoken aloud. Because your mother made it clear that her standards and expectations mattered more than my happiness. I could never be the man she wanted me to be. So I left instead of fighting. It was cowardly and I'm sorry. I should have tried to maintain a relationship with you. They talked for hours, building a fragile bridge between them. Minwoo's father was gentle with Dae-hoon, clearly moved by his grandson. He treated Farah with respect and kindness, asking about her life in Morocco and seeming genuinely interested. Your mother will come around eventually, he told Minwoo. She's stubborn but she loves you. She just shows it poorly. Over the following weeks, Minwoo's predictions started coming true. The company's interim CEO was doing well, and the board seemed content with the arrangement. Jungwook's takeover attempt failed spectacularly when his affair with Seo-jin became public knowledge, damaging his own reputation. Several board members who had supported him quickly distanced themselves. Seo-jin showed up at the mansion one day, looking defeated. I made terrible choices, she admitted. I threw away something good because I was bored and stupid. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to apologize. To both of you. Minwoo's face remained impassive. What do you want, Seo-jin? I'm moving to Singapore. Jungwook and I are finished. I'm starting over somewhere new. I just wanted to see Dae-hoon one more time before I go. I know I have no right to call myself his mother, but I did give birth to him. Farah looked at Minwoo, then at Seo-jin. She saw a broken woman, someone who had gambled everything on the wrong choice and lost. You can see him, Farah said quietly. He should know who his birth mother is, even if I'm the one raising him. They brought Dae-hoon out. Jun held him carefully, tears streaming down her face. He looks happy, healthy. That's because of you, she said to Farah. Thank you for being what I couldn't be. After Seo-jin left, Minwoo pulled Farah close. That was generous of you. It was the right thing to do. She's suffering enough. I don't need to add to it. A month after the wedding, Mrs. Park finally visited. She came unannounced, walking into the house like she still owned it. Farah was in the kitchen, cooking a Moroccan dish for dinner. Mrs. Park stood in the doorway, watching silently. That smells good, she finally said. Farah turned surprised. Would you like to try some? I came to talk, not to eat. We can do both. Farah set a bowl of stew in front of Mrs. Park, along with fresh bread. Please sit. Mrs. Park sat stiffly, clearly uncomfortable. She took a small bite, then another larger one. This is delicious. Thank you. It's a recipe from my grandmother. They ate in silence for a while. Then Mrs. Park spoke. I was wrong about you. I thought you were a gold digger, someone using my son for money and status. But I've been watching. I had you followed. I know. I've seen your investigators. They reported that you're genuine. You don't spend Minwoo's money frivolously. You're a devoted mother to Dae-hoon. You make my son happy. I've never seen him this relaxed and content. I love him, Farah said simply. I love both of them. Mrs. Park's face softened slightly. My husband left me because I was too cold, too demanding. I drove away everyone who tried to love me because I cared more about appearances than actual happiness. I don't want Minwoo to make my mistakes. He won't. He's stronger than he knows. Because he has you. Mrs. Park stood up. I'm not good at apologies. I don't know how to admit when I'm wrong. But I'm trying to say that I was wrong about you, and I hope you can forgive me someday. Farah stood as well. I understand why you were suspicious. I would have been too. But I promise I will spend my life making your son and grandson happy. Mrs. Park nodded stiffly, then did something unexpected. She pulled Farah into a brief, awkward hug. Thank you for saving Dae-hoon. And thank you for saving my son. After Mrs. Park left, Farah sat down, overwhelmed. Everything was falling into place in ways she never expected. The obstacles that had seemed insurmountable were slowly being overcome. It wasn't perfect or easy, but it was real. That night, Min-woo came home to find Farah in the nursery, rocking Dae-hoon while singing a Moroccan lullaby. He stood in the doorway, watching them with such love in his eyes that Farah's breath caught. "Your mother came by today," she said softly. "I know. She called me afterward. Said she was sorry for how she treated you." "Did she really?" "In her own way. She's trying, Farah. We're all trying to be better versions of ourselves." He sat beside them, putting his arm around Farah. The three of them sat in comfortable silence, a family built not from blood or convention, but from choice and love and determination. Outside, Seoul glittered with lights. Inside they had everything that mattered. "I hired you as my maid," Min-woo said, a smile in his voice. "It was supposed to be simple. You'd clean, cook, stay invisible. But you became my wife, Dae-hoon's mother, and the person who made me believe in happiness again. Best business decision I ever made." Farah laughed softly. "Worst maid you ever hired, though. I barely cleaned anything." "True. You were terrible at your job, but excellent at this one." She looked down at Dae-hoon, who was nearly asleep. "The best," Min-woo agreed. He kissed her forehead, then her lips. "The absolute best." 6 months passed like a dream. Farah woke each morning in disbelief that this was her life now. She lived in a mansion in Seoul, married to a man who looked at her like she hung the moon, raising a baby who called her mama in his babbling baby voice. The immigration issues had been resolved with the help of expensive lawyers and Min-woo's connections. She was legal now, a permanent resident with a clear path to citizenship. Min-woo had returned to his company after his 6-month sabbatical. The board welcomed him back with enthusiasm. His honesty at the press conference had humanized him in ways his previous corporate image never had. Investors saw him as more relatable now, someone who understood work-life balance. The company's stock had actually risen during his absence. But the biggest surprise came one morning when Farah woke feeling nauseous. She rushed to the bathroom, barely making it before getting sick. Min-woo heard her and came running, holding her hair back while she threw up. "Are you okay? Should I call a doctor?" "I'm fine. It's probably just something I ate." But the nausea continued for 3 days. Finally, Min-woo insisted she see a doctor. They went together, Dae-hoon in tow, both of them worried. The doctor ran tests and then smiled. "Congratulations. You're pregnant. About 6 weeks along." Farah stared at her in shock. "That's impossible. I'm still nursing Dae-hoon. I thought that prevented pregnancy." "It reduces the chances but doesn't eliminate them completely. You're definitely pregnant." In the car ride home, Farah couldn't speak. She had lost one baby, and the grief still lived inside her like a permanent shadow. The thought of being pregnant again terrified her. What if something went wrong? What if she lost this baby too? Min-woo reached over and took her hand. "Talk to me. What are you thinking?" "I'm scared. What if I can't carry this baby to term? What if I lose another child? Then we'll face it together." "But Farah, you're healthy now. You're not starving or stressed like you were before. You have the best medical care available. This pregnancy has every chance of being successful. I don't know if I can survive losing another baby. You won't be alone this time. Whatever happens, I'm with you." Over the following weeks, the fear slowly gave way to cautious hope. Farah's pregnancy progressed normally. She had morning sickness and fatigue, but the baby seemed healthy at every checkup. Min-woo was absurdly excited, already talking about names and nursery colors. Dae-hoon was walking now, toddling around the house and getting into everything. He had grown from a sickly, crying infant into a happy, energetic toddler. He still nursed occasionally, more for comfort than nutrition, but he was eating regular food too. Farah knew she would need to wean him before the new baby came, but she wasn't ready to give up that closeness yet. One evening, Farah received a message from an unexpected source. Sojin had written from Singapore. The message was short but genuine. I heard through Mother Park that you're pregnant. Congratulations. I mean that sincerely. You've given Dae-hoon the life I couldn't provide. Thank you for that. I'm doing better here. I've started therapy and I'm working on becoming a person I can respect. I don't expect us to be friends, but I wanted you to know that I'm grateful. Farah showed the message to Min-woo. He read it and shook his head in wonder. A year ago, I would have said Seo-jin was incapable of genuine reflection. Maybe people really can change. I hope so. Everyone deserves a chance at redemption. Farah also started a project of her own. With Min-woo's support, she opened a small Moroccan restaurant in a trendy Seoul neighborhood. She had been nervous about the idea, worried that her cooking wouldn't appeal to Korean tastes. But the restaurant became popular quickly, earning rave reviews. She hired other immigrant women to work there, giving them opportunities and community. The restaurant gave Farah financial independence. She didn't need Min-woo's money for anything. She earned her own income and felt proud of that. It also gave her a sense of identity beyond being Min-woo's wife or Dae-hoon's mother. She was Farah, restaurateur and business owner, building something of her own. She also started a support group for immigrant mothers. They met weekly at the restaurant, sharing stories and resources. Some were struggling with visa issues, others with loneliness and cultural adjustment. Farah listened and helped however she could, using the connections she had gained through Min-woo to solve problems when possible. Mrs. Park surprised everyone by becoming a regular at the restaurant. She brought her friends, wealthy women who had initially been scandalized by Min-woo's marriage. But Mrs. Park sang Farah's praises, and slowly those women became customers too. They still didn't fully approve of the marriage, but they respected Farah's accomplishments and her dedication to family. Min-woo's father also became a fixture in their lives. He visited weekly, spending time with Dae-hoon and helping around the house. He and Mrs. Park were talking again, carefully rebuilding their relationship after years of silence. They weren't getting back together, but they were learning to be civil and even friendly for their son's sake. Farah's pregnancy progressed beautifully. At 5 months, they found out they were having a girl. Min-woo cried when he heard the news, overcome with emotion. A daughter. I'm going to have a daughter. Are you disappointed? Farah asked worried. Many Korean families preferred sons. Are you kidding? I'm thrilled. Dae-hoon will have a little sister to protect. Our family is growing. They prepared the nursery together, painting it soft yellow and decorating it with both Korean and Moroccan touches. A fusion nursery for their fusion family. Dae-hoon helped too in his toddler way, mostly by making messes and laughing when they cleaned them up. One night, about 7 months into the pregnancy, Farah went into labor 3 weeks early. Min-woo rushed her to the hospital, trying to stay calm even though Farah could see the fear in his eyes. They both remembered what happened with her first baby, how quickly things went wrong. But this time was different. The labor was long and difficult but not dangerous. 14 hours later, Farah held her daughter in her arms. The baby was small but healthy, crying lustily and squirming. Farah couldn't stop crying, overwhelmed with joy and relief. She's perfect, Min-woo said, his voice thick with emotion. Absolutely perfect. They named her Amira, which meant princess in Arabic. It felt right. A name that honored Farah's heritage while working in any language. Dae-hoon met his sister the next day, peering into her bassinet with wide, curious eyes. Baby, he said, pointing. My baby. That's right, Farah told him. Your baby sister. You have to help protect her. Dae-hoon nodded seriously, already taking his big brother role to heart. Coming home from the hospital felt surreal. Farah walked through the mansion holding Amira, Min-woo beside her with Dae-hoon on his hip. A year ago, she had been a maid here, sleeping in a tiny servant's room, trying to stay invisible. Now she was the lady of the house, mother to 2 children, wife to the man she loved. Life had a strange way of working out. The first few weeks with a newborn were exhausting. Amira was a good baby, but she still woke up multiple times at night to nurse. Dae-hoon was jealous at first, acting out for attention. But Min-woo handled the toddler with patience, spending extra time with him while Farah focused on the baby. Mrs. Park visited often, bringing expensive baby gifts and offering surprisingly helpful advice. She had softened considerably, especially after reconciling with her ex-husband. Farah watched them interact during family dinners and saw hints of the love that must have existed between them once upon a time. Maybe they would never fully reconcile, but they were trying, and that was something. On Amira's 3-month birthday, they celebrated Dae-hoon's 3rd birthday with a big party. Friends, family, and business associates all came. The mansion filled with laughter and joy. Farah looked around at the gathering and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. All these people were part of their lives now, part of their extended family. Kyungwook sent a gift with a note. "Congratulations on your family. I was wrong about many things. I hope you find the happiness I couldn't." It was as close to an apology as they would probably get, but it was enough. That night, after all the guests had left and both children were asleep, Min-woo and Farah stood on their bedroom balcony looking out at Seoul. The city sparkled with a million lights, beautiful and alive. Min-woo wrapped his arms around Farah from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. "Do you ever think about that first night?" he asked quietly. "When you knocked on the nursery door and offered to help?" "All the time. I was so scared and desperate. I had no idea that moment would change everything. I was broken that night, completely lost. And then you appeared like some kind of miracle." "I wasn't a miracle. I was just a woman trying to survive. You were my miracle anyway." He turned her around to face him. "I love you, Farah. More than I knew it was possible to love someone. You took broken pieces and built something beautiful from them." "We built it together," she corrected. "You could have chosen the easy path, but you fought for us instead. Best decision I ever made. Hiring you was good luck. Falling for you was fate. Marrying you was the smartest thing I've ever done." They kissed on the balcony under the stars, two people who had found each other in the most unlikely circumstances and built a life worth living. Inside, their children slept peacefully, safe and loved. The restaurant was thriving. The company was successful. The family had healed its wounds. But more than any external success, they had each other. They had built a partnership based on mutual respect, genuine affection, and shared sacrifice. It wasn't perfect. They still argued sometimes about small things. Cultural differences occasionally caused misunderstandings. Family dynamics could be complicated. But they faced everything together. "Do you think Dae-hoon will remember Seojin at all?" Farah asked suddenly. "Probably not. He was so young when she left. You're his mother in every way that counts. I used to feel guilty about that. Taking another woman's place. But now I realize I'm not taking anyone's place. I'm creating my own place. Being the mother he needs, not trying to replace anyone. That's why you're so good at this. You never tried to compete with some ideal version of motherhood. You just loved him authentically." They went back inside, checking on both children one more time before going to bed. Dae-hoon slept sprawled out like a starfish, his favorite stuffed animal clutched in one hand. Amira slept in her bassinet, her tiny face peaceful. Looking at them, Farah felt her heart might burst from fullness. In bed, Min-woo pulled her close. They made love slowly, tenderly, celebrating how far they had come and all they had survived together. Afterward, they lay intertwined, not speaking, just being present with each other. These quiet moments were Farah's favorite, when the chaos of life paused and it was just the two of them. "I need to tell you something," Min-woo said eventually. "The board offered me chairman of the board. It's a step up from CEO. More influence but slightly less day-to-day responsibility. That's amazing. Are you going to take it?" "I don't know. It would mean more money, more prestige. But it would also mean more time away from home, more business travel. I'm not sure I want that anymore." "What do you want?" "This. Nights like tonight. Watching our kids grow up. Building a life that's about more than business success. You can have both. You don't have to choose between career and family completely. Maybe. But I also don't need to prove anything anymore. I've already succeeded in the way that matters most. I have a family that loves me. That's enough. Farah kissed him softly. Whatever you decide, I support you. But don't give up your career because you think you have to. We'll make it work either way. How did I get so lucky? We both got lucky. We found each other when we needed it most. The next morning, Farah woke before dawn to nurse Amira. As she sat in the rocking chair with her daughter, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. She had left Morocco with nothing but grief and desperation. She had worked as a maid, invisible and unimportant. Then one night a crying baby changed everything. She thought about her first son, the baby who died after 3 hours. He would be 2 years old now if he had lived. She would never forget him, never stop missing him. But she had learned that grief and joy could exist side by side. She could mourn her first son while celebrating her 2 living children. Her heart was big enough for all of it. Min Woo appeared in the doorway, already dressed for work. I made a decision about the chairman position. I'm going to take it, but on my terms. I'll work 3 days a week from home. No business travel unless it's absolutely critical. Family comes first, and I'm going to make that clear to everyone. I'm proud of you. I learned from the best. He kissed her forehead, then kissed Amira's. I'll be home by 6. Let's have dinner as a family tonight. After he left, Farah finished nursing Amira and went to wake Daehoon. The toddler rubbed his sleepy eyes and reached for her. Mama. That word still made her heart swell every time. She lifted him up, settling him on her hip. Good morning, my love. Are you ready for breakfast? They went downstairs together, and Farah started preparing food. Mrs. Kong arrived, offering to help, but Farah waved her off. I've got it. Why don't you take the morning off? Spend time with your family. Mrs. Kong smiled. You've changed this house, you know. It used to be so cold and quiet. Now it's filled with life. It was always a beautiful house. It just needed people who knew how to love in it. As the sun rose over Seoul, Farah fed her children and planned her day. She would go to the restaurant later to check on things. She would attend her immigrant mother's support group in the afternoon. She would come home and make dinner for her family. It was a simple, ordinary life in many ways. But for Farah, who had lost everything and rebuilt from nothing, it was extraordinary. That evening, they all gathered around the dinner table. Mrs. Park and Min Woo's father joined them, the 4 adults and 2 children making a real family meal. They talked and laughed, passing dishes and sharing stories. Daehoon made everyone laugh with his toddler antics. Amira slept through it all in her carrier, content to be surrounded by voices she loved. After dinner, after the grandparents left and the children were in bed, Min Woo and Farah stood in their bedroom. He pulled her close, swaying gently like they were dancing to music only they could hear. Do you remember what you told me that first night? He asked. In the nursery. I said a lot of things. You said that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you need help. You were right. Admitting I needed you, accepting your help, that was the strongest thing I've ever done. You saved me too, you know. I was drowning in grief. I thought my life was over. But you and Daehoon gave me a reason to keep living, to hope again. So we saved each other. I think so. They stood like that for a long time, just holding each other. Outside, Seoul continued its endless rhythm, millions of people living their lives, pursuing their dreams, fighting their battles. But inside this house, in this moment, 2 people who had found each other against all odds celebrated the simple miracle of being together. Farah thought about everything she had survived. Losing her husband, losing her baby, coming to a foreign country alone, working as a maid with no future. She thought about that desperate night when she knocked on a nursery door and offered help to a crying baby and his desperate father. That moment of compassion had changed everything. Now she stood in the bedroom of a mansion, married to a man she loved deeply, mother to two beautiful children. She had a successful business, a community of friends, family who accepted her. It wasn't the life she had planned or imagined. It was better. "What are you thinking about?" Minwoo asked, sensing her reflective mood. "I'm thinking that I hired myself into your life by offering to breastfeed your baby. It's the strangest beginning to a love story I've ever heard." Minwoo laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "It is pretty unconventional. But then again, nothing about us has been conventional." "No. But I wouldn't change any of it." "Me neither. Every struggle, every challenge, every moment of doubt led us here. I'd do it all again exactly the same way." They climbed into bed, and Farah rested her head on Minwoo's chest, listening to his heartbeat. It was steady and strong, a rhythm she had come to depend on. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would always be obstacles to face, problems to solve, difficulties to overcome. But they would face everything together. As she drifted off to sleep, Farah's last thought was one of profound gratitude. She had crossed the world looking for survival and found a home instead. She had offered comfort to a crying baby and received a family in return. She had taken a job as a maid and ended up as mistress of the house. Life was strange and unpredictable and sometimes wonderfully, impossibly beautiful. And through it all, through every twist and turn, one truth remained constant. Love, real love, could overcome anything. It could bridge cultural divides, heal old wounds, and build new families from broken pieces. Love had saved her. Love had saved Minwoo. Love had saved Daehoon. And now love surrounded them all, keeping them safe, keeping them together, keeping them whole. Forever had begun the night she knocked on that nursery door. She just hadn't known it yet. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more beautiful love stories that will make you believe in second chances and unexpected blessings. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from and what part of the story moved you most. We love hearing from our viewers around the world. Thank you for being part of our community.